Hey, hello dear Swift learners, how are you all? I hope that you all are fine, and here I Ritika am back for you, bringing with me another new session for you all. So before telling you what we are going to study today, we will be seeing what is the platform at which we are studying. So we are here at Swiflearn, which is India's most sincere learning destination, which provides the classes for grade 1 to grade 10. Now, there are some of the features which makes it sincere. These include 100% live and interactive classes. So you will be connecting with your teachers through audio video calls, you will be taking your lessons. Then we have batches in which maximum 6 students are there, so that every student gets the attention they deserve. Plus, apart from teachers, we also have academic mentor team. So that team will be tracking your progress and will be working with you to improve. And also we cover the syllabus as per your school exam schedule, so that you can perform well in your schools also. Apart from that, we have some of the key features which makes Swiflearn all the more special. It includes a detailed progress report. So there will be a detailed kind of progress report. It will have analysis of what you have been doing from your test marks, homework performance, classwork performance, everything. We have Swiflearn Academic Test Series, in which you can compete with the students of your grade and you can see your position, and also you can work accordingly by taking unlimited practice tests. So these tests will be including 2 categories of subjective and objective. The subjective and questions will further help you in answer writing in your school exams. So please book your free trial class on Swiflearn and have this amazing experience of the classes here. And also, if you are new to the channel of Swiflearn, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you do not miss out on any update. And if you like the video, press on like button. Alright. So we are going to study about habitat and adaptation. We have already done session 1, and now we are going to do session number 2, in which we are going to basically focus on desert habitat, mountain habitat and aerial habitat. So these 3 habitats we are going to cover in today's class. Now, in our last class, we studied about different type of organisms and habitat. Okay, so let's have a quick recall about what is actually habitat and why are we studying all these things. So, any place where organism lives, it is known as its habitat, right? For example, if I talk about a lion, so lion lives in forest, so that becomes habitat of a lion. If I talk about fishes, fishes live in water, in pond, sea, lake, ocean, etc. So these became their habitat. If I talk about yak, so yak mainly lives in mountain regions, so that become yak's habitat. So all the places where an organism is living and getting all the things that it requires to sustain, it is known as habitat. Now, we have already studied about terrestrial and aquatic habitat, right? Now today we are going to study a bit detail about them. So terrestrial means related to land. Okay, terrestrial, that means which is present on the land. So all the habitat that we find on the land, for example forest, grasslands, desert, these are all coming under the category of terrestrial habitat. Next, if I talk about desert, so desert, it is again a terrestrial habitat because it is present on the land, right? Now, some of the animals or some plants that exist in desert, the most common is cactus and camel, right? We have been studying about them since very young age. So apart from camel and cactus, there are many animals and organisms that you will be finding in desert. For example, snakes, rats, golden barrel. Okay, so these are some of the organisms that are very common in the desert habitat. And camel, it is also known as the ship of the desert, as you all might be knowing, right? Now what happens is, during the daytime desert becomes very hot, right? It is like unbearable heat. So to protect themselves from this heat and sunlight, what do the rats do? The rats and the snakes, they go deep inside the sand, okay, in the daytime, and at the time of evening and at the time of night, when the weather is it is cool, they come out to hunt, to eat, okay. So all these things they do at night time, and during the daytime they just go inside the land, they just go inside the burrows, so that they can live comfortably there and they can save themselves from the scorching heat. Next is transpiration. So what is transpiration? So it's a leaf, right? So leaves have these small holes which are known as stomata. Okay. Now the leaves of a plant, it loses the water from these stomatas, and that process is known as transpiration. Okay. So losing the water from the stomata, it is known as transpiration. Okay. And since in desert very less amount of water is present, okay, already there is a shortage of water, so desert plants, they lose very small amount of water through transpiration. Actually their leaves are adapted in such a manner that the loss of water is automatically less, right? If the leaves will have a broader surface area, then transpiration will be occurring in a greater number. But if the leaves are modified into spikes, okay, you can see in the cactus and or golden barrel, etc., there are these spikes, so they reduce the surface area, and that is how transpiration, it is less in amount. Next, talking about the mountain regions. So if I talk about mountain regions, they are normally very cold and very windy, right? So the weather over there in the mountain region, it will be cold and it will be kind of windy, and normally snowfall takes place in those during the winter time, right? If we talk about the Leh Ladakh region in India, so these are very cold windy regions, and in the winter season you will be finding snowfall over there. So the trees which are found here, okay, they are conical in shape. Now if I talk about the shape of the plants in the mountain region, why do they have this conical shape and why do not have this normal shape which we find here in terrestrial habitat? See, for example, if I keep something here, okay, so conical shape, it allows it to fall down, right? Now since mountain region, as I told you, there is a continuous rain, snow and all, okay, so if the snow it keeps here, it is kept here, it will destroy the plants, okay. So this particular shape, it allows the snow and the water to drop down, okay, and that is why the mountain plants, they are shaped in a conical manner. So it helps the rainwater and snow to slide off easily from the tree, and the tree is not getting destroyed. Next, talking about the animals which live in the mountain region, they need to save themselves from the cold weather, right? So their skin is very thick, they have fur coating, so that they can be protected from the cold winds over there, right? If I talk about snow leopards, polar bears, etc., they have very thick fur on the body, and their feet and toes are also covered with the fur. Next, talking about yak. So these yak also have long hair, okay. So these hair, they keep in themselves the heat, they do not allow the heat to radiate out, and that is how these animals keep themselves warm in the very chilled and cold weather. Similarly, talking about the mountain goats, so how are they adapted? Their hooves are very strong, okay. So since mountains, they have this kind of shape, so they need to, the mountain goats and all, they need to travel, right? So their hooves are very strong, so that they can hold the rocky slopes of the mountain and they can move comfortably without falling down. Now the grasslands. So the grassland name itself tells, the mostly we will be finding grass, okay. So the areas where vegetation, it is mostly the grass, they are known as the grasslands, okay. You can see here in the picture also, it is like all greenery all around, okay, and hence it is named as grasslands. Now, tiger live in grassland and is a predator. Deer live in grassland and is prey. Now, first of all, let's talk about what is meant by predator and prey. So, predators, they hunt other animals for their living. Okay, so the tiger, cheetah, leopard, they all need to hunt other animals to sustain, to survive. Okay, and therefore they are known as predators. And deer, they are known as prey because these are the animals which are hunted by lion, tiger, cheetah, etc. Okay, so prey is the shikar and predator, we can say it is shikari, right? So we have predators which kill other animals in order to survive, and prey are the animal which are killed by predators. Next, talking about aquatic habitat. Aquatic means water. So the habitat which exists in the water, they are known as aquatic habitat. Now these can be inside lake, this can be inside ocean, this can be inside river, pond, anything. But since they are inside the water, they are known as aquatic habitat. If I talk about aquatic habitat, how do the animals breathe there? So what happens is, all the aquatic animals like the fish, the octopus, okay, they have the gills, okay, which actually helps them to use the oxygen which is dissolved in water. Now if I talk about water, so water, it contains oxygen which is dissolved in it, okay, and fish and octopus, they have the special feature which is gills, and the gills help them to take in the oxygen which is dissolved in the water, and that is how they are able to survive. But apart from fishes and octopus, there are many animals like whales and dolphins. They do not have any gill, okay, they breathe through their nostrils, okay, or blowholes. Now you might have seen the whale in maybe in Discovery Channel, or if you have seen in real also, the whales and the dolphins, they come up to the surface of the water frequently. Why? This is because they do not have gills, and they need to breathe through nostrils or blowholes, and that is why they need to come up to the surface of water, they need to breathe, and then they go again. Now talking about some aquatic plants, their roots are fixed in the soil below water, and some plants, they are floating on the water. So we have two types, some whose roots are fixed and some who are floating in the water. Next, talking about aerial habitat. So all the birds that we see flying in the sky, where do they live? They live in the nest, but they actually spend their whole day flying in the sky, right? So they are from the aerial habitat. So the habitats of sky or tree, it is coming under the category of aerial habitat. And the main animals that you will be finding in aerial habitat, it is birds, bats, and some of the insects like honeybee, etc. Now we are going to talk about the adaptations which allow them to live inside these kind of habitat. First thing, very important, they need feather for flying, okay. So they have feathers which help them to fly and also provide them insulation. Next, the bones of the birds, they are very hollow. They are hollow, empty from inside, and they are filled with the air sacs instead of bone marrow. Now we all have bone marrow inside our bones, but the birds have air sacs, okay. So because the bones are hollow, that keeps them lightweight, and that is why they are able to fly very easily. Next, talking about the shape, their body is streamlined and spindle shaped. They are compact, light and strong, which helps them maintaining the balance in the air. So as I told you, their bone, they are hollow and lightweight, which provides them the lightweight, and that is why they are able to fly freely and they are able to maintain their balance. Talking about the plant life, the aerial plant have roots above the ground. You can see it here. So their roots are not below the soil but above the ground, and the development of roots, it is an evolutionary process. So their roots above the ground and the development is evolutionary process. So these are the two adaptation of plant life. some plants, they have evolved aerial roots so that they can absorb more sunlight. So why do they have this aerial roots which are outside, up from the ground, so that they can absorb more sunlight? Okay, they may grow on a trunk, leaves and branches of the host plant. So you can see it can grow on the trunk, it can grow on the leaves, it can grow on the branches. And autotrophic nutrition, which means they can prepare their own food, they do not depend on any other organism for their food requirements. So autotrophic means the plants which prepare their own food. So plants are actually autotrophic in nature, and we all are heterotrophic. Now, looking at all the diversity of living beings around us, we can say that life is beautiful. We are having many type of habitats, and every habitat has its own beauty, and that is why we all can say that life is beautiful. Now, let us do some of the exercises to see what are the things that we have covered in today's class. So let's start with a puzzle solving. Now, question number 1, which is across, it says that possess streamlined body shape. So the organisms which have streamlined body shape, it is fishes. So fishes, they have very streamlined body shape, and which allows them to swim very easily. Next, tree adapted for very cold habitat on Himalaya. So that trees are known as the oak tree. A desert plant possesses spike-shaped leaves. So spike means like we have this kind of sharp leaves. So it is cactus. Question number 3. Plants reproduce through seeds, obviously. So major plants, they reproduce through seeds. Now 5th question says that cone-shaped, needle-shaped leaves. So this type of trees are there, and the leaves are of needle shape. So 5th answer will be pine tree. Living beings dash their own kind. So all the living beings, they reproduce their own kind. And the last question, a desert animal adapted to stir about 100 liters of water in its hump. So it is camel. Camel, it is also known as the ship of the desert. All right. So let's revise through some questions. What is aquatic habitat? Name any 2 aquatic habitats. So aquatic habitat, the habitat which are underwater are known as aquatic habitat. We can have aquatic habitat in lake, pond, sea, ocean, etc. List the common characteristics of living beings. So living beings, they reproduce their own kind, they need oxygen to survive. Okay, then we have 2 type of nutrition in living beings, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic nutrition is followed by the plants, and heterotrophic nutrition is followed by the other animals. Next is, how are cactus adapted to survive in a desert? So the leaves of the cactus, they are adapted in the needle shape, so the transpiration loss becomes very less. Okay, so they have this needle spike shaped leaves. Okay, so that actually reduce the loss through transpiration. And next, the roots of the cactus, they go deep inside the earth. Okay, so because of that, they are able to take the water. And name any 2 terrestrial habitats. So all the habitats that we have above ground, that are known as terrestrial habitat, like we have grasslands, we have mountains, etc. Now a VBQ ask as the Geeta lives in Tamil Nadu. Her family planned a visit to visit a hilly area during a school vacation, and she was very excited. But when she reached there, she experienced breathing problem while walking or running. She got worried that something might have happened to her, but her father consoled her and said that this is normal and she will be fine after a few days of staying there. So why does Geeta experience breathing problem in hilly area? What happens is, as we move up, okay, so the oxygen level, it starts to decrease, and since Geeta went to a hilly area, the oxygen level was a bit low than the oxygen level that we find here at the ground normally. So that is why we can experience the breathing problem, and it is common. Next, will she be fine after some days? Absolutely, because our body starts adapting to the changes. Okay, our body adapts it by changing certain things, like our red blood cells count, it increases to cope up with this oxygen scarcity, and that is why we feel a bit normal after some days. And what values of Gita's father is shown here? He is intelligent. Okay, he has scientific temperament. He knows what is the thing happening, and he is very patient, and he explain everything to Gita calmly. Now, fun facts. Ants are living creatures which will never sleep. So ants, they do not sleep. Next is human teeth. They are the only part which cannot repair themselves. So we need dentists to repair them. And honey is the only food that doesn't get spoiled. Like however old honey is, it is said that it is good. The older the honey, the good it is. And energy, it is essential for several biological activities, and it is mainly obtained through the respiration. Next, challenge of the day. Why we see frog everywhere during rainy season, and where do they go in summer and winter? So in rainy season we see frogs everywhere because there is a moisture in the climate, in the weather it is moisture. Okay, so since frog need this moist climate, that is why we see them here and there. But in the summer and winter, they again go to their basic adaptation, which is their basic habitat, which is water. Okay, now let's do an activity to see what all things we have learned today. Plants growing in hot and dry places, they are known as xerophytes because they need zero amount of water. Okay, hilly trees, they do not have flowers. No, they have very beautiful flowers, which is not an abiotic component of environment. So abiotic means having no life. So bacteria, it has life. And drag the words to correct boxes. So cat is from terrestrial habitat. Then hydrilla, it is aquatic plant, and camel is desert adaptation. Alright, so what are the things we have covered today? We learned about different habitats, and we learned about the characteristics of organisms. Okay, so we covered terrestrial habitat, aquatic habitat. We learned about the animals, about the plants, how they cope up, how do they adapt themselves according to their habitat. So I hope you might have understood everything in our today's lesson. We will be meeting in our next lesson in which we will be covering more topics. Okay, so till then, keep studying, keep learning, and we will be meeting soon. Thank you.